Hi everyone, I'm Laura and welcome to Living on Cruise Control. I am in my mid-50s and recently left the corporate grind to pursue a lifetime of full-time travels where cruise ships are my home base. I am on an adventure to travel the world, living bougie on a budget, and share with you my experiences, lessons learned, and money-saving tips as I pursue a lifestyle of full-time travel where cruise ships are my home base. One topic that is very important to me to share with you is that I completely understand that there are people that are not interested in gambling or ever setting foot in a casino, and I 100% absolutely respect that. And I want to ensure you that my journey is not to live in a casino and to gamble and lose all the money that I've earned and saved throughout my life. That is not my intent. And I want to make sure that this channel does not become a cruising casino channel at all. It just is part of the journey and how I've been able to afford this lifestyle. So I felt it was important to at least share my experience. However, there is so much more to my life and my day-to-day and my joy that is non-casino based. So as I learn about the casino programs, as I go to the casino to continue receiving these perks, as I play out any of my free play, I will be filming that. I will be sharing that. There's still a lot of questions, and I want to make sure that anyone that does step into the casino is as educated as possible. That's my goal. However, that will be a small part of my channel. There's so much more to this journey. It's the places to travel. It's the people to meet. It's being on a health and wellness glow up. It's just living your joy and not being afraid to be your authentic self. That's the purpose of my life and this channel. And I just wanted to be clear. I'll put the casino topics in a separate playlist. So if it's not your thing, I completely get it. I absolutely respect that. And you can just skip those videos perfectly fine. And I support that decision completely. Today, I'm coming to you from Hai Long, Vietnam, where I've spent the last week and a half traveling across Da Nang, Hanoi, Hai Long, and soon Hanoi with a group of full-time travelers as well as some travel YouTubers. And boy, has it been an adventure. I'll put together an overview for you as we are right in the middle of this trip. In fact, tomorrow we're actually doing a cruise along Hai Long Bay, and I'm excited to bring with you that adventure if visiting Vietnam could potentially be on your travel list. In the meantime, I wanted to make sure that I could catch up on all the questions that you guys have been asking, especially the repeated questions. I want to make sure that I'm answering those questions for you in detail and that there's not too much time between videos. I have so many things that I want to share with you and topics on the list, but I thought today I would just take some time and catch up on all of your questions. There's been almost 800 comments on these first two videos, and there are some really great questions. So let's dive right in. I think the first question that comes up quite often is about the Wi-Fi. Does the Wi-Fi on the ship have any connectivity issues? Is it strong enough to be able to work if somebody wants to be able to get work done while they're on a cruise, or conduct a meeting, be able to check your email, or even be a digital nomad? Is the Wi-Fi an issue? I can tell you that I've been on 3 Princess ships so far: the Discovery, the Enchanted, and the Regal. There's only one level of Wi-Fi. They don't have like different tiers with different strengths. There's basically just one level. I've never had an issue with Wi-Fi, not even once. I've been able to stream movies, watch YouTube. I've been able to use my phone. I do use WhatsApp, which is a Wi-Fi based phone and chat service. It's very common around the world, and all my family and friends use WhatsApp, and so I've been able to use WhatsApp without a problem, and I have not had any connectivity issues. I've seen people working around the ship or on their laptops on the ship, and so far it has not been a problem. I have not been on a transatlantic or trans-Pacific cruise yet, where you are deep in the middle of the ocean. nor have I been like up into Alaska or down into the Antarctic. So I'll share with you if I do run into any issues, but so far I found the internet to be extremely reliable. The next question, number 2, that comes up often is, what do I do in regards to healthcare? What happens if I need a hospital, and how do I handle like my doctor appointments? Another really good question. And this question I've thought about a lot, as there is not an actual hospital on a cruise ship. Now they do have a medical center. It looks and feels like a doctor's office. It's not a place that you can actually do any type of major surgery, but they can handle, illnesses, pneumonia, COVID, spraining, something temporarily. If you do need something that's more serious, you would need hospitalization. And I can tell you that there's probably been 3 or 4 times over the last few months where somebody did need to be evacuated from the ship. A couple of times they needed a helicopter to come land in the middle of the night and to take someone that was ill to a nearby hospital. Another time we had to divert to a different port in Florida, for example, that was closer because someone needed to get off the ship to get to a hospital. And there was a time when we were just outside of Cozumel that we actually had a small boat come meet the ship and carry a passenger back to land. So it definitely happens. It's a little scary when that happens, to be honest. It is something that I've really thought about. I have insurance that covers medical evacuation through a company called Alliance. I'm not a medical insurance expert by any means, so please do your own research. There's a lot of options depending on any, US-based or local-based insurance that you may have, benefits through your employer, benefits through Medicare, etc. So many variables based on your age, where you're located, your current health conditions. It's something that you definitely want to look into. There are a lot of options. I personally have coverage in the US for the very short period of time when I'm home visiting family. And then I use Alliance to cover my cruise medical evacuation, or if I do need to go to the medical center. And then as I travel the world, I find that you can get testing done or prescriptions filled in other countries. It's a lot less expensive than the US. And so I've been able to do that as well. So it's not ideal to have to be evacuated to get to a hospital, but I feel like at this point in my life, at this age for me, the lifestyle is worth it to have a medical center within a few minutes on the ship and have a doctor and nurse staff available for me. And then if I did need to be evacuated either to close by land or back to the US, I do have insurance that would cover those costs. As far as my doctor and dentist appointments, I schedule those for when I'm visiting the family. So I was just home for Mother's Day and my son's birthday in May. I stayed with them and got my doctor's appointments done. And then I'll be back again over Christmas to come hang out for the Christmas holiday and schedule those appointments. So I try to go home twice a year to see my family, and then they're definitely coming on cruises with me. The more the merrier. The more the merrier. Next question is just around drinking water and overall getting sick. So I personally don't drink tap water no matter what country I'm in. It's just not worth it to me. I drink bottled water without ice. I'll drink filtered water. I'm not a big fan of ice and the cleanliness of ice, but I do drink filtered water like when we're in the main dining room or a specialty restaurant. Mostly I'm drinking bottled water, and I haven't gotten sick yet. I do try to be very careful. Germs definitely spread. You've got a lot of people in a very confined environment. Sickness definitely spreads. I wash my hands constantly before and after, all the time. It's gotten to be such a habit now that I don't even think about it. I'm just always washing my hands. I try not to touch my face. And then I try to avoid crowds in small places. So if an elevator's full, I'll wait or I'll take the stairs. If people are coughing, I just, try to avoid or hold my breath, or sometimes even wear a mask if I need to. So So far, I haven't gotten sick at all. And I just try to do everything I can to prevent it. But I don't think it's possible to stay germ-free, just like any other travel, right? When you go to an airport or an airplane or you're in a hotel or in the public, you're bound to get sick at some point. I just try to avoid it and stay as healthy as possible. The next question is around, do I get to stay in the same cabin or stateroom? And then do I have to keep unpacking and packing every time a cruise starts and ends? So because the offers come in one at a time and it's hard to know what offer might be coming next, I don't always book my cruises back to back and follow the agenda. They don't come in that way. So if I'm able to stay in the same room, that would be ideal. But most of the time I'm not. I'll do, 14 days in one room, stay in the same ship, but I might do 12 days in a new room, 14 days in a new room, etc. And so having said that, the process is very smooth, especially when you're staying on the same ship. Housekeeping supervisor actually moves you. And so they will take your hanging clothes and move them into your new room. In fact, your room is one of the first rooms to get cleaned. And they'll move you. They'll move your luggage. They'll move your hanging clothes and rehang them back in the new closet. So you don't actually have to move anything when you change rooms on a back-to-back voyage, which is pretty awesome. I've gotten the system down pretty pat to where any folded clothing or toiletries, it takes me maybe 10 minutes to get packed up to move. The other thing I wanted to share is the process for a back-to-back is pretty easy. In LA, so in Los Angeles and in Fort Lauderdale, you do have to walk off the boat. They have to zero out the ship. And you go out, you go through customs, they scan your face, and then you get back on the ship as a group. And you're the first back on the ship. And by the time you get on, usually around 9:30 or 10 in the morning, before the new passengers get on, your room is usually ready for you and all your stuff is moved. So you can go set up and be ready to start your day, so you don't lose a lot of time. In Galveston, I noticed that customs came on the boat, so we didn't even get off the boat. They came on, they scanned our passports, they checked our ID, and then we just walked to the elevator and went to our room. That's the only port where that's happened. Otherwise, you actually have to walk off the boat and then walk back on. Where do I get my mail, or what's my U.S. home address? So my son and daughter-in-law live in the United States, and I use their address for mail. They have a guest room where I also have space in a closet with a few boxes of some personal mementos and some of my son's school paperwork and drawings from his childhood and just some things that you just can't replace. And so I do have a few boxes being held and stored in their closet, some important mementos. But otherwise, I really downsized everything else as far as a house, a car, furniture, and belongings, and just stuff that you accumulate over the years. And that was a question that came up recently, was how hard was it to get rid of everything? What was the process like? And I've done this a couple of times in my life, but for this most recent segment, I had actually already I sold my car. I had a Fiat Spider, little convertible 2-seater car. That was a lot of fun. And I wound up selling my car. And then furniture, I either gave to family or sold on Facebook Marketplace, and just got rid of a lot of just stuff like shoes and clothes and things you buy at Target, like vases and, all the things that you accumulate throughout your life. It's not the easiest journey, right? Especially if you have things that, have been handed down generation over generation. I know it's not an easy process, but I do find it so freeing. And just the maintenance to have stuff is also kind of weighs on you. So I think anytime that you can just be a little bit more minimalistic, I think it's great. I also want to share Brenda, a friend of mine who has a channel called Downsize to Upsize, about downsizing and upsizing your life. She said something once that I found amazing and really resonated, in that, what kind of a burden is it to leave all of these things for your kids to have to go through once you pass, and that, you know, are these things that they really value the same way you do or did? Probably not. Like, do they even really want your stuff? And the burden of them having to go through things and figure out what to give away, what to sell, what to throw away, it's such a heavy burden. And if I can lighten that burden, and, you know, that die with zero philosophy really resonates with me as well. Like, if there's a way to pass those things on now and to see the joy, and for my family and loved ones to experience that joy while I'm alive, then that's really important to me. So just kind of think about that. If you're struggling with downsizing, just do it in steps. Maybe, you know, downsize to a smaller home, maybe down to a storage unit. You don't have to just go from a full house to nothing. That can be tough. Just do it in phases and do it in steps. And I promise you, everyone that I talk to that has done it never regretted it at all. And I definitely don't regret it. It made this decision of moving on to cruise ships so much easier because I had a path to go down. I'd actually been living and working in India as an expat for my job. And so I had already downsized before I even moved to India. And so once I was wrapping up that assignment, I had this option of stay working or not working. And then, do I want to live in a house? Where? Do I want to rent an apartment? Do I want to stay in an Airbnb? Do I want to travel? And it was helpful to not have to make the decision of downsizing, to where let's check out living on a cruise ship. And if this is a lifestyle that's sustainable and in a way that I would be happy. Am I paying solo occupancy fees? Another good question. So as a solo cruiser, usually you're paying the same exact total cost as a couple would, or two people sharing a room, which seems unfair, but it's how the cruise industry works. And so for me, the offers that I get for Princess through their casino comp program come with just port fees and taxes. And so if I'm booking the room, I'm only paying port fees and taxes for myself. If I decide to add a second person to my room, then I wind up only needing to pay the exact same port fees and taxes times 2. So let's say a cruise cost me $350 for port fees and taxes. I would pay a second $350 for that second person to join me. The third and fourth passenger, those rates can vary. I've heard that they're more expensive than the first 2 passengers, so definitely check that out. But for me, if I do cancel one of these casino comp cruises, I lose a $200 deposit. I don't lose all the port fees and taxes, but I do lose a $200 deposit. And I want to try to avoid doing that. So I'll add that second passenger maybe a month or so out. So that way, in case I'm moving things around or I get a better offer, or if I do need to cancel something, I'm not losing that deposit times 2 people. I'm only losing it for myself. But to answer the question, am I paying double occupancy as a solo passenger? I'm not. I'm just paying the port fees and taxes times 1 when I travel by myself. Do I get seasick? So far, I do not. I have not gotten seasick. I don't get motion sick. I have not traveled across the oceans, like a transatlantic nor a transpacific. I haven't been to Alaska. I haven't been down to the Antarctic. Things might be a little rockier than what I've experienced. I'm prepared with seasickness pills, the patches behind your ears, even the wristbands I've packed with me to hopefully circumvent any seasickness, but so far I have not gotten seasick. So knock on wood on that one. Hopefully that trend will continue. Another question that I get a lot is, do the casino hosts comp rooms? They do not. So the casino hosts do not have the authority to actually give away free rooms. They're able to give away comps during the cruise itself. So things like a free dinner for 1 or 2 people. Sometimes they can add a bottle of wine. They can give away a massage credit or a spa credit. I've heard of people getting like shopping credits like a $200 shopping voucher. But they personally, from my understanding, do not have the authority to actually give away a free cruise. That comes through the program, that comes from corporate. Other than the See You Soon offer, those offers come via email, not from the casino hosts themselves. So I just wanted to set that question straight. Thank you so much for liking my videos. Please subscribe to my channel and join me as I spend the summer cruising around Europe to ports and places I have never been in my life. I'm so excited. See you soon.